My cat is scratching on my doorway. Hang on. Be right back. Technical difficulties. Hi, my name is Allie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hello. If you're returning, welcome back. I appreciate you for not being sick of me yet. It is the end of July. It is the first reading wrap up of the new year. I read 12 books this month. 3 of them were Kindle. The rest of them I had physical books for. This was a varied month for me. I feel like the past 2 months I've been reading just like strictly romance. This month was a bit of a mix. I even read a poetry book at some point, which I will show you. But yeah, hopefully this is the start of me getting back into other genres again. Not that there's anything wrong with reading romance, I obviously love it, but I also have like an entire shelf of fantasy and thrillers that just been sitting there. Hopefully I start broadening myself back up again. It's just been a busy January, but nevertheless, 12 books. Let's get into it. So the first book I read this month was Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I had very high hopes for this book. It didn't exactly meet them. I think I gave this book 3 stars. It was okay. I was kind of disappointed. I wanted a lot more from it. It's like a brother's best friend fake dating, and I love those tropes, but I didn't really like Travis's character. Like, I'm all for a deep broody guy, but like he just wasn't it for me. I don't know. I just didn't really care for him, and I kind of found Georgie's character annoying. There's 2 other books because this is a companion novel series. I think I still might try them because I think I might like them better, but this one for me wasn't really it. I didn't hate it, but it won't necessarily be a book that I'll pick up to read again. So I then went into poetry. I read I Would Leave Me If I Could by Halsey. This is a collection of poetry. A lot of this she has used and turned into her music. I am a big Halsey fan. I think I 3-starred this. I am not a big poetry book person. It's not something I normally read. I mainly just bought this because I'm a Halsey fan and I relate to a lot of her music. I did like it. I'm just not a poetry book person. I do recommend it if you like poetry books. I think it's got some good ones in there. My first poetry book review. Moving right along, we have Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly. I believe I 3-starred this as well. This is an LGBTQIA+ romance. I liked the storyline. This follows London, I think it's Dahlia. London and Dahlia are on this competitive cooking show, like a Great British Bake Off type thing. London is non-binary. They go by they, them pronouns, and Dahlia is recently divorced because she also identifies as queer, and it just, her marriage wasn't right for her because she was still kind of coming to terms with her sexuality, but she's newly divorced. London is single. My god, signal. What does that even mean? London is single, recently coming out as non-binary, going by they, them pronouns. They and Dahlia meet at this competition. It's kind of got a little bit of an enemies to lovers, I guess, in a sense that like London has feelings for Dahlia, but because they are concerned about their sexual identity, they aren't sure if Dahlia would want to be in a relationship with someone who's non-binary. Because they have feelings for her, they kind of distance themselves because they don't want to accept that they have feelings because they don't want to get hurt. But it's very cute. I 3-starred it just because I just wanted more from it. It just felt very YA, and it had potential to be so great, and I just wanted more. But it is such a great LGBTQIA+ book. It's a very cute storyline. I do recommend it if you're looking for a nice LGBTQIA+ romance, or just a romance book in general. I did think it was very cute. So I then read Kingdom of the Wicked and Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco. I read the first 2 books. I really enjoyed this series. This gave me very much the vibes of White Hot Kiss, which is one of my all-time favorite fantasy series. This is a series that kind of got me back into fantasy after being on a romance kick for a while, so I definitely recommend these. This follows Amelia and Wrath. Amelia is a witch. Wrath is one of the princes of hell, one of the 7 deadly sins. Amelia has a twin sister who was one day murdered, and she believes that she was murdered by 7 deadly sins, so she traps Wrath in a spell to try and like interrogate him and figure out what's going on. Enemies to lovers. It's very cute. I very much recommend it. I'm very excited for the 3rd book to come out because I love this series. I very much recommend it. I believe I 4-starred both of these. So then next was like a reread of like the books you were made to read in high school that at the time you didn't like because you were being forced to read them, but you still liked them. I reread The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I have not read this since like 8th grade, middle school, but I remember really liking this book, and it stands up. It's, I believe, on the 2020 banned books list, and Usually banned books are great. It is. I definitely recommend it. This follows Pony Boy. It's got like Greasers vibes, and it's basically the lower class Greasers versus the upper class kids. Very much like Gangs, West Side Story, Grease vibes. It's got murder. It's just an all-around good book. I very much recommend it. Please go read it if you have not already. I then read Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Gerber. This was recommended to me a lot. I didn't really know anything about it going into it. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it because I did read Caravel by Stephanie Gerber. It's like the first book out of like 3 or 4. I didn't necessarily like it. I finished reading it, but I didn't like it enough to finish the series, so I've only read the first book. So I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about this, written by the same author, when I didn't like her books before. But I liked this so much better. There is supposed to be more books. I will 100% read them. I really liked this book. This follows Evangeline. She realizes one day that the guy she's in love with is going to marry her sister. She believes that this boy has been put under a spell because there's no possible way that he could love someone else other than her. So she goes to the Prince of Hearts, basically making a deal saying, hey, like, if you stop this wedding, I'll do whatever you want. So she makes a deal with him. Lots of things happen. I believe it's turning into an enemies to lovers. The lovers has not started, but the enemies is definitely there. And if I'm right, it is going to be enemies to lovers. So I'm really hoping that's what happens because I like this guy better than the guy that is trying to marry her sister. I very much recommend it. It's very like Alice in Wonderlandy vibes. Definitely has vibes of Caravel in that whole series, but I just simply liked it a little bit better. I believe I 4-starred this. I then read Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the first out of 3 books, the Brown Sisters series. I believe it's 3. I 4-starred this. I thought it was really cute. I loved it. I would consider it enemies to lovers because Chloe and Red didn't like each other in the beginning, so I personally would consider it enemies to lovers. It's very cute. I adored it. I love Red. But this follows Chloe and Red. Chloe is from a rich family and she kind of moves out into an apartment on her own to kind of just be out there and do her own thing for a while. She has chronic illness. She has fibromyalgia, so she is always in a lot of pain, always on heavy medicines. So she feels like her illness is hindering her and she doesn't have a life. So she makes a list of all these things that she wants to do, basically a bucket list, things she wants to do in like the next year because she thinks she's boring and she wants to make herself more exciting and do all these things that she thinks is going to make her a more interesting person. And basically she ends up befriending Red, who is a superintendent for her apartment building, and she basically recruits Red to help her with this list. And enemies to lovers, they end up liking each other a little bit. I thought it was very cute and I definitely recommend it. I will be reading the rest of the series, most definitely. I read Fried Test by Helen Wong. I've also read The Heart Principle by her, and I liked The Heart Principle much better. I think I 5-starred The Heart Principle. This I 3-starred. It was okay. Reading The Heart Principle first, I was expecting a lot more from this because it is really popular, but it just felt really simple to me. Like, to me, it felt very insta-love, and that's not something that I normally really like. I love her books and that she does autism characters. I think that that's great representation, and I loved the storyline in Heart Principle, but this one just didn't hit for me. I liked it. It wasn't horrible. I don't hate it in any way. I mean, I would recommend it, but again, it's not something that I would necessarily go back and pick up. I still am holding out hope, and I'm still definitely going to read The Kiss Quotient, but so far, out of the 3, this one is my least favorite. So then, for Kindle books, the first book that I read this month on my Kindle was Wait For It by Mariana Zapata. I believe I 4-starred this book. I really enjoyed it. Slow burn, that's what Mariana Zapata is known for. But our main character, she is a single mom. It's a lot of family trauma. The boys she's raising aren't biologically hers. Figure out why. She moves to a new town. Her next door neighbors are kind of broody and grumpy. She kind of has a tiff with one of them. It kind of is an enemies to lovers thing. Very much Grumpy Sunshine. So if you like Grumpy Sunshine, I definitely recommend it for that. But it was very cute. It was one of my favorite Mariana Zapata books so far. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it if you were a fan of slow burn and a fan of Mariana Zapata and you like Grumpy Sunshine tropes. And then I read Colleen Hoover's new book, Reminders of Him. I 5-starred this one. The only other Coho book that I have 5-starred is Verity. Verity has been my all-time favorite Colleen Hoover book. I think I still like, between Reminders of Him and Verity, I like Verity a little bit more because I am a thriller person, and so it was just kind of a unique storyline for me. But I loved this one. This one honestly really gave me Mariana Zapata vibes. I don't want to get too much into it because it is a fairly new book and I don't want to be like spoilers or anything for it, but it's so good. I very much recommend it. It's Coho. You really can't go wrong with her. And then finally, last but not least, I read Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. So this is Vikings. Very unique. Have not read a Viking themed book. I loved it. I 4-starred it. It was very cute. Well, I don't know if cute's the right word. It's Vikings, so it was kind of brutal. Also, my cat is outside my door again, and this time she's sneezing into my doorway. Every time I open up the door, she runs away because she doesn't want my attention. But Okay, go off, queen. This is a Viking romance. Again, enemies to lovers is a girl and a boy, enemy clans that come together, and it's between the two of them to work together to save their clans. I really liked it. I definitely recommend it if you want some fantasy enemies to lovers. If you like Viking broody badass girls, who doesn't like some badass women? Because women, am I right? Yeah, I definitely recommend it. So now that we have gone over all my books, I have decided to basically make myself a roster out of all the books I've read, what my favorite book of each month was, and then at the end of the year go through each book of my favorite month and rank them out of all my favorite books of the year, which one was my favorite. For January, out of all the books that I have read this month, I honestly think that my favorite, even though I didn't 5-star it, which might be weird thinking about it that I didn't 5-star it, but it's my favorite out of ones that I have 5-starred, probably Kingdom of the Wicked. Honestly, for the fact that it was kind of a series that's gotten me back into reading fantasy again. It was the first fantasy books that I have read in like legitimately almost 3 months, and I didn't start reading any fantasy until after I read those. So I think for that reason alone, I'm gonna consider it my favorite of the month because it got me back into the genre again. So yeah, these have been all the books that I have read for January. It's the start of a new year, 11 more months to go, lots of new books to read. I'm very excited. I have a lot of books on my TBR I'm ready to get through. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I love and appreciate you. If you read any of the other books that I read this month or in past months at all, let me know what you thought about them, if you agree with me, what you rated them, what you thought of them. What did you guys read this month? If you have any recommendations for me for the rest of the year, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. If you'd want to follow me on any of my other social medias, they will all be linked in the description box down below, as well as on my home screen channel banner. Also linked below will be my Amazon wishlist. If you guys want to send me any books that are on there, I would very much love that, and I will do some unboxings for you guys. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I love and appreciate you. Please stay safe, and I will see you somewhere else on the internet. Bye.